for the next 10 seconds, do not think. If you succeeded, you should think about it, because as far as I know, it's scientifically impossible. We have to face the reality that we cannot choose not to think. We are forced to constantly think. And even if we decided that we don't want to think, we're still thinking. Thinking permeates any environment. At any given moment, we're thinking. We are processing a huge amount of information and sensations that we receive through our senses. We are thinking during a lesson, in a bar with a friend, while we are dancing in a disco, on a date. Yes, on a date. That's when I realized it. During those first dates, you're supposed to talk and talk and talk and fill all those silent gaps. I have to confess that I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible because my mind keeps working, and sometimes I don't even realize that there is silence. So each and every time I go out on a date, she always comes up with, "Hey, you're a thoughtful guy, aren't you?" And in that moment, I feel so embarrassed. And guess what I do? I start thinking even more. Thinking is one of the most relevant activities of my daily life. I have extremely long conversations with myself, and that's a problem. It's not a problem because I'm not productive. I still tend to be quite productive. It's a problem because on that first date, when she asks me, "What's your favorite hobby?" I can't really say thinking. Thinking is my favorite hobby, but I can't say it because I would sound as a nerdy, socially awkward person. And I'm not, I swear. Even though we can't actually choose when, we can choose how. As thinkers, we can choose how we think. We could spend our lives reacting to external impulses. Or we could go beyond that and expand our reasoning. Let me explain this difference with two examples. Let's take an economist, a scholar, someone who has studied economics. And then let's take a salesperson in a store. He has not studied economics, most probably, but he's still good at it. He's very good, for example, at convincing his customers to buy his products. He adjusts his prices as he sells more or less. He follows inflation and deflation. And he does all these things without even being aware of what he's doing. On the other hand, the scholar, before changing any price, he would collect some data, write an outline, write a paper, submit it for peer review, and only at that time he would change any price. Now, the salesperson does it naturally, whereas the scholar thinks over things. I'm sure that among you right now, there is the relentless skeptical cynic who's wondering, what's the purpose? What benefit will come out of a highly sophisticated kind of reasoning as opposed to a more natural processing of information? Why do we even have to bother thinking over things? And why can't we just sell our products naturally? Being forced to constantly think does not imply that we have to engage in philosophical debates over the nature of the human beings. Your thinking does not transform into food either. You might have wonderful thoughts, but they're not tasty. You cannot eat them, right? In our society, to survive, you need money. And to find a job, first of all, you need skills and knowledge. What is sure is that your survival does not depend upon your thinking. Your thinking, though, has a great power. It can change the way you see the world. Okay, let's say we could live without a deep thinking. We could experience strong feelings and emotions. That would certainly be fulfilling and easy. Yet, your feelings are still being interpreted through your thoughts. And your thinking can actually change the links that you see, the categories that you apply. It can develop your understanding of your feelings. It can create new ideas. And ideas are powerful. Now, my materialistic friends now would tell me that without a solid economic structure, your ideas don't count. You might have great thoughts, but as long as you don't have the means to implement them, they do not matter. I disagree with this. I disagree with the dualistic conception of our society. As a political scientist, I do understand the importance of the economy. But at the same time, as a philosopher, I strongly believe in the value of ideas. Our ideas can change that materialistic structure. And that structure is actually the result of a deep reasoning. Some people call this idealism. What does it mean, though? Does idealism mean getting lost, dreaming about impossible worlds? That's not what we are looking for. Idealism instead means starting from high ideals, but then fighting as hard as possible to make sure that they'll become reality. Our ideas have that power to shape our lives towards a better future that we want. But the only way to find out that meaningful ideas that can have that power is thinking over things. A superficial way of thinking will not move us forward. The only way to do it is thinking things through. And we have the power in our hand. Why don't we use it? Thank you.